Good morning everyone out there in YouTube land. My name is Jared and this is my channel Mazda P3K. This video we are going to replace the heater core in my 1989 Ford F-350 7.3 liter IDI diesel named Bertha. Without further ado, let's get started. Here's the setup briefly. I was out and about, had the heat on, noticed that the windows were getting really foggy. I asked my daughters, hey, you smell anything funny? You smell syrup? They said, yeah. And then I looked and coming out of the vents was white smoke. So leaking heater core, not leaking enough that, it was peeing on the floor, but leaking enough to cause problems. So heater core time. Now, I think this truck is old enough that heater core access is very simple. We just need to drop the glove box. All right, dropping glove box. Generally, it's pretty simple. If I got enough hand strength to do this, you pull it free of its little stop. All your junk falls out. And you go darn. You get that out of the way. And then I believe we take the cover off of this. Our heater core is directly behind it. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts total to get this. All right, so let's see how this comes out now. It's acting like it's still caught on something. No, not really caught on something. Well, we got this vacuum line, which, is that a vacuum line? That doesn't look like a vacuum line. That looks like a HVAC control. And it really doesn't want to come out of its holder. And then over here we've got, these are vacuum lines in a holder. I think we got to pop that one out. And then we can probably wiggle this loose. Let me work on that. All right, as you can see, I decided to go up and out to get it out. And one of the things that was restricting us is we have some vacuum line going across there. And then there's another thing holding vacuum line here on the side. Get a trim tool and pop that out. And then we should be able to just pull this up and out through the hole in the glove box. Once that's out of the way, there is your heater core. And sure enough, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I see fluid down there. So yes. The heater core is leaking. It has failed. So next step is we go into the engine bay and we need to disconnect the heater core feeder lines. All right, here we are, engine bay side. These are our heater core feeder lines. As you can see, these have not been touched on mine. They still have the original factory clamps. Kind of goofy looking, but if they work, I ain't gonna knock it. So we're gonna get these off. The hose is probably going to stick a bit. Wiggle it back and forth, kind of bust it loose, and you're going to spill a little bit of coolant, but what you can do is when you pull it out, lift it up so that gravity does work for you so the coolant cannot spill out. And then I'm going to use a bungee and hook those up and then hook the other end of the bungee like up to one of these holes up here or something, to hold it up and out of the way while I extract the old heater core and put the new heater core in. All right, you guys are there. I'm over here. There we go, 5/16. All right, is this thing loose? Yeah, it's loose. But can I make it looser? this loose. Oh, wow, it completely cut through the hose. Someone had this too tight. Awesome. Oh, we're gonna need a pick. So when you got a hose, so you see I'm making progress here, but when you got a hose that's really stuck, get yourself a right angle pick, and then get the pick in there, and use the pick to break that seal that has formed between the hose and the nipple that or the barb that it's attached to. And you know you're making progress when you can start twisting the hose. Which, oh man, I don't know how to take these factory clamps off. There we go. And as you can see, I was just able to shove the hoses out of the way. I'm not real happy with the state of what was under the clamp. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to cut right there. We got plenty of extra hose, so I'm going to cut right there and then either switch to a worm clamp or figure out how to put this on and go with that. But I'm not happy with these ends. They're pretty beat up. But now let's see if we can't get our heater core out. All right, so there should be nothing holding the heater core. So it should just kind of come out. But shoulda, woulda, couldas, you know. That's kind of what I'm seeing right here. Is it? Oh, there we go. So we're gonna have to lift the bottom first and then kind of wiggle it out. I'm gonna need both hands. This is an old school core. It actually has brass on it. Like this one's old enough that you could try to sweat it or braze it, fix it, versus the newer junk I'm putting in. Like this might be the original core. I've never seen one this old that actually has copper. Yeah, they really did make them different back in the day. So we're gonna hold on to this for a second because we need to compare it to our replacement. From what I've seen, there is some issue with actually getting a replacement that fits correctly. So there is our new core. And we're gonna wanna check the width, the height, all that jazz, because basically if you go to your local part house and you get this core, it'll be wrong because it'll be a core that's designed to fit the OBS Fords. But if you have an older Bricknose, like I do, it won't fit. It'll say it'll fit, but it won't fit. Which is why I bought this Spectra on Rock Auto. So that pipe might need to be straightened a little bit. But if we compare the width and this one's still pretty full. Height looks good. All right, I think this core will fit, so we're about to find out. So I have been blathering on about part specificities. This is a Spectra 94582. Again, do not buy the generic thing at the part house. It's not going to fit. So when I was taking this out, what I found is you do have to do bottom first, and you got to get around the vacuum lines that are down here. and you're going to need 2 hands to do it. But the basic idea here is you're going to cant the nose up, kind of sneak it in there, and then get the top in, and then swing the bottom end to place it. And I'll show you along the way in the spots where I don't need 2 hands to do this. So that was actually pretty drama-free. I made sure I got around these vacuum lines, as I mentioned. And then I led with the nose, as I also mentioned that one of those pipes had to be bent a hair so that it would line up with the holes. But once I got it to line up and go in, as you can see, core fits perfectly fine, exactly as it should. So this is a good fit, this Spectra here. Your Spectra or whatever you ordered probably came with some insulating fuzz to go around it. Since the old core had no fuzz on it, I'm not putting fuzz on the new core. All right, so at this point, we are putting things back together. Go ahead and let's tackle the engine bay side again, get all that clamp back up, and then we'll put this cover back on, and then we'll see if we get heat without smoke. So a long time ago I picked up these. These are made for cutting PVC pipe, but they also do an outstanding job at cutting hose. So get yourself some. They're pretty handy. Because what these will do is they will cut it clean without making one side taller than the other, you know, stuff like that. So we do that. Cut past the kind of damaged section of hose here. There we go. And get these clamps off if I can. I guess I could slit this with a knife or go with worm clamps. Because if I can't get these off here, I don't know how I'm going to get them back on the hose, is the thing. So legitimately, I don't understand how you take this thing apart. You know, show it to you guys. See, there's these tabs on either side, and it looks like to me what you need to do is bend those tabs up, and then you can release the clamp, but I don't want to do that. So I think these will be squirreled away for a rainy day, and I'm going to go get some worm clamps. I decided to be fancy constant tension clamps that I have left over from working on something. Just kind of get those on there. That is one. And they make a proper tool for these. I even have such tool, but it's very fiddly, so I prefer doing that. Now this part gets a little bit annoying because you got to get on the hose, right? The hose on the core, and you really need a second person to push on the radiator. But I think I'm going to go get a buddy to do that real quick. All right, got my helper. And we're gonna get these hoses on. Got a push helper. Okay, you gotta push harder. Use both hands, push against those edges. You've got to push harder. All right, hang on. It's proving kind of hard to get this on, so what you can do is spray down the barbs in silicone spray, push. What that can do is make it quite a bit easier to get the hose on. All right, we've got enough on there that we can get the clamps on. All right, Galen, that works. All right. So it's not as far on as I want it, but there's enough that we can get the clamps where they need to be. And one thing about clamps, if you haven't done a lot of auto work, is try to get the clamp positioned where you want it, so for the next time you need to service it, right? So we'll kind of cant this over. Now that one's in place. And then we'll grab this guy. He's going to get leaned kind of the other direction. Oh, I just caught my finger. That hurt. Constant tension clamps are really good for having even pressure all the way around your hose, but you know, they're springs, right? So they can swing back on you, and it feels pretty amazing when that happens. Let me tell you. Okay, when we go to put our case back on, be mindful that there are alignment pins. There's one there. There's one here. Actually, I lied. There's not an alignment pin there. But there is one definitely here, and there is definitely one there. So you want to get those all lined up, and if you do, then all of your screw holes should be good to go. And also, don't forget, you got to pop this thing back in its holder. I think this is what's providing the tension so that this wire moves and not the whole thing moves. So it's very important you pop the black part back into this. And don't forget to put your HVAC little keepers back in so you don't have very important vacuum lines just dangling. Okay, when you're all done, you should have, there's a little hole in the side of the case, you pop in right there. There's a little hole here, pop in there. Get your bolts in. Truck ate one over there, so it's gone. I don't care, should be fine. So you can see I made sure we're in the black, and then I actually squeezed on this a bit. Make sure it can't easily come out so that the HVAC controls can work right. And at this point, we can go ahead, we can throw the glove box back in there. Oh, there's like a little thing right here. Okay. But I'm going to turn the truck on and let it warm up, and we're going to see if we actually have heat without leaks or smoke. Let's see here. Always fun to start an IDI. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That should be enough glow. And there we go. All right, taking a look, I don't see any leaks coming from the new connections there, so that looks good. And if we set it to heat, let's see what we get. Feels like heat. It's still not boiling hot, but I kind of expect that between the diesel still not fully warmed up and that we may have an air pocket or 3 in the heater core. But that'll work itself out. Once I turn the engine off, it's going to draw in from the overflow tank, and that should take care of any air bubbles. But yeah, we have heat, and the heater core is not leaking. If I had my temp gun, we would do temperature measurements, but it sprouted legs and ran away. So I do not have my heat gun on me, my temp gun. But I think that's gonna do it for this one.